Hello, good morning and welcome to a new edition of William's Corner. I had a good night's sleep this night and my pain is not so strong, so I thought I would try to share some thoughts on a topic that has puzzled me for many years now. How is the instincts in animals transferred from the genes to the nerve system, to the brain? You know, this question is not answered by science today. It is a deep mystery. Let's say a starling, for example. If a young starling is deprived of its parents, it is still able to do what it should do to make a family on its own. It is able to find a way to France or Netherlands or wherever it stays in winter. It flies from here in Norway together with its other mates. It is able to go back home in the spring and start singing a song that the parents never taught him. The song is programmed in his brain. He's able to find a mate, to build a proper nest, to take care of the eggs, to stay on them, keep them warm, not be away for so long that they freeze to death, turning them in proper time when the chicks come. He knows by instinct how to take care of this tiny little creature that comes out of the egg. Do you know how to feed a bird of that size? How to give him water without choking him? All these things this bird knows by instinct without having been taught by his parents or anyone else. It's complicated programs. The beautiful song that he's singing is imprinted in his brain by instincts. So then comes the great question: how does the program that is written in the genes transfer over to the brain, which is a totally different system? The genetic information is a digital code written in an extremely small molecular level. From that size up to the relatively huge brain cells and the brain as an organ. To put the same information into the brain, how is that transferred? Let me give you an illustration on how complicated this is. Let's say you have the movie Gone by the Wind on a Blu-ray. It's in digital code, and now you give every Chinese a torch, a red, a green or a blue torch, similar to the signals in your TV display, and you want to display this movie Gone by the Wind by having each Chinese flashing his torch towards the moon, red, green or blue, in correct time, so you could sit comfortably on the moon with the binoculars watching the movie on Earth. You can imagine how difficult it must be to find out when each Chinese should flash his flashlight. First, each Chinese, that's equivalent to a cell, had to find his right position in China. So everyone was positioned in the right place, spread out like cells in the brain. Then when you want to play the program, you have to make an instruction that you send each Chinese when he's going to flash his light. And to do that, to make it work properly, you would have to be outside this system to see it from outside, like from the moon or from a satellite, and to look down and see that the bird is singing properly his melody, you know, these beautiful songs, to stay in our proper problem here. But I think you get the idea. Let me give you another analog, an analogy as an example. Let's say you want to play one of Bach's beautiful organ masterpieces. You want to play it on an organ. So you would have to instruct the organist how to play, and you do that by notes, yeah? But in our case it's more complicated, because you actually have to build the organ, the brain, you know, and the organ in the church. You actually have to build the instrument that is going to play it, because when these instincts are played in the brain by the nerve system, each cell has to be in its correct position in the right center of the brain. So when the bird wants to sing, it has to decide by will that he desires to sing, and he is doing that in the right time of the season, in the year, in front of a female, or in the hope of finding one. And then the signal from the will center has to be transferred to the motoric center, in humans' motoric cortex, where the cells has to be in the right place. They have to have formed connections, right connections between right cells. Proteins are formed that enhance the transfer of these nerve signals in the right time, in the right order. And then you can listen to the beautiful song of a starling, or a blackbird, or a nightingale. And honestly, do you think that it's possible that nature, that in itself is blind, cannot see, cannot climb up to the moon and look down and see how the Chinese are doing? How could nature by itself be able to organize, transfer the information from the genes to the brain? It has to know, when the genetic code is written in the cells, that person, yeah, I said person, that God, that it is only God that can do this. He can know beforehand what result he wants to achieve. The song of the nightingale, for example. And on that basis, he can produce a genetic code, the digital code inside each cell in a chromosome, that contains instructions on not just how to play the song, but also how to build the organ that is going to play the song. And then it has 9 months for a human fetus in mother's womb to do this, to use the genetic code to make each cell find its right position in the nerve system, in the brain, to enhance the protein connections between the right cells, to make a final result that are the instincts. So when the child is born, the program is already there, not just in the genes, but it is in the brain, a totally different carrier of information, a totally different system. It's more like an analog code, while the genes contain a digital code. I think you get the idea here, that you transfer actually something that is analog, like a analog cassette or analog videotape. You transfer it to a digital, opposite, from digital to analog, you know. But it's even more complicated, because in this case you actually have to build the organ that is going to play. You're going to build the video player that the cassette is played on. Yeah, it is very, very complicated, and science do not have any clear answer on how this is done. And it is a clear indication to me that it's impossible for nature, by any means, under any perspective of time, to be able to produce a result like this by chance, by selection or mutation or whatever. It is simply not possible. And if you think about it, I think you can understand that. So thank you for listening, and have a great day, and may God bless you. Bye for now.